Now, ladles and jelly spoons, may I welcome you to the 19th episode of Retrospective Reviews. Here in Middle England, we aim to bring you an epic tale that will bring a tear to your eye, a lump to your throat and a pain to your neck. Shudder at scenes of naked violence like this. Take that.
Meow.
Take that.
Meow.
Now take that.
Meow. Meow 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 meow.
Oh, please. I insist.
Meow meow. Meow.
Yes, all human life is here, and Dicky from Richard York's Wargaming to boot. It's not a bad idea, actually. For those of you that are new, here is the story so far. In last month's episode, we left winsome, curvaceous Kaimathi held captive by the mysterious gynecologist, Otto the Ocelot, and his gnarled, gritty bodyguard, Ninja Chloe. Inch by inch, the ceiling is descending, whilst a drink-crazed crocodile, played by Tiger Tom in a skin, snaps at a rope that holds Kaimathi above a vat of tepid chicken fat, played by Terry the Terrier. Suddenly, the door creaks open, and in the doorway stands a ghastly apparition, a monstrous nightmare creature of hideous aspect. It shuffles forward and speaks.
Hello and welcome to another of Dicky's videos.
So come with us now down memory lane as we bring you this month's retrospective review. Tenchu 2 Birth of the Stealth Assassins is an action-adventure stealth game for the original Sony PlayStation. Developed by Acquire and published by Activision, it was released in North America on the 15th of August 2000, the 8th of September in the European territories, and November in Japan. August 2020 marks its 20th anniversary. A follow-up to the 1998 game, Tenchu Stealth Assassins, the game's story is a prequel to the story told in the first game. Tenchu 2 received favourable reviews and is held by fans as one of the better games in the series. Jim Preston reviewed the game for Next Generation, rating it 4 out of 5 stars, stating that Tenchu 2 doesn't surpass the original, but does succeed in capturing its smooth gameplay, and despite some minor weaknesses, the game is without doubt exceedingly cool. If you'd like to know more about the first game, Tenchu Stealth Assassins, then please do check out my retrospective review that I did when the game turned 20 years old back in 2018. There'll be a link in the description down below as well as at the end of the video. Tenchu 2's basic gameplay remains much the same as the first game. The player controls one of two ninja, Rikimaru or Ayame, as well as a third ninja, Tatsumaru, who can be chosen as a playable character once you've completed both Rikimaru and Ayame's missions. Whilst the stealth part of the first game was what made it so popular, one of its main complaints was that it was far too short. Tenchu 2 certainly can't be called that. Both Ayame and Rikimaru have 11 individual missions, and Tatsumaru, once available to play, has an additional 7 of his own. While some of Rikimaru and Ayame's missions take place at the same location, objectives, boss and enemy layouts, and even some level layouts are different, as well as being set at different times of day. Players once again use a range of ninja tools and equipment to complete missions and eliminate enemies. Once again you begin a mission with your trusty grappling hook that has seen a few improvements, most notably that it will only hook onto the edge of objects this time to stop you from accidentally grappling onto the ceiling. How did she not see me? As well as the grappling hook, you now begin each mission with a bamboo reed for you to breathe underwater with, as you can now not only hide in water but you can also swim. This gives you the opportunity to sneak up on shore, dock and boat dwelling enemies, although you still need to be aware of the amount of noise you make whilst wading. The key meter returns at the bottom left hand corner of the screen to help you identify how close an enemy is to you, as well as indicating if you have been spotted or have alerted enemies. If the enemy hasn't seen you, you may sneak up on them and perform a silent one-hit kill. Manage to remain unseen for the whole mission, and your score upon completing said mission will be much higher. And you once again earn extra items: ninja armour, the resurrection leaf, fire arrows, gas bomb, a sleeping potion, and a special dust to blind your enemies, to name a few. And finally, you now have the ability to search dead bodies as well as drag them away so they won't be discovered by other patrolling guards. I was going to go to Cornwall for a few days' rest, and I wanted to take some reading matter with me. You know, there's nothing worse than being in loos with nothing to read. So I went into my local bookshop to see what they had. Come in, sir. Have a look around. Ah, thank you. Are you looking for something between hardcovers or something you can slip into your pocket? We have an enormous selection of livres de poches, that is your actual French for posh books. How about a classic? Can I interest you in Spencer's Fairy Queen?
I don't think so. He's not interested in mine.
How about a nice Moroccan-bound Poe, featuring such masterpieces of the macabre as The Telltale Heart, The Fall of Usher, or his masterpiece, Poe's Raven?
Is he?
Never listen to gossip, dearie. Any Shakespeare? I've done my own edition of Shakespeare, you know, but I've rewritten it and updated it. Here it is. As they like it.
Shouldn't that be as you like it?
Not really, but live and let live, I say. In 16th century feudal Japan, the Azuma ninja have served the House of Goda for countless generations. Now, 3 young ninja, Tatsumaru, Rikimaru and Ayame, must protect Lord Goda Matsunoshin against a coup d'etat attempt and a mysterious ninja group calling themselves the Burning Dawn, consisting of their leader and 4 lords of the Burning Dawn. To make matters worse, the recently made leader of the Azuma ninja, Tatsumaru, goes missing during a battle with Lady Kagame. It is later revealed that Tatsumaru has lost his memory and as a result of this has now took on the mantle of Serayu, the Blue Dragon, and allied himself with the Burning Dawn.
Okay, spoiler warnings. I am going to spoil the end of the first Tenchu game. You have been warned.
At the end of Tenchu Stealth Assassins, Rikimaru makes the ultimate sacrifice so that Princess Kiku and Ayame can escape a collapsing mine. This gave developers one of 2 choices when coming up with ideas for the second game: either create a prequel or do something that comic books have a fondness for doing and looking at the afterlife as some kind of revolving door. The developers decided on the latter and we find ourselves with a younger Rikimaru,
That is not the voice of a 25-year-old.
and Ayame as they complete their ninja training. The first game had an okay plot, true, it didn't really have a connecting narrative other than foiling the plans of Onikage. The first game focused more on standout moments. In comparison, the story of Tenchu 2 is impressive and quite compelling. It is told through in-game and CG cutscenes, also you won't be rewarded with the whole story until you complete the game with all 3 playable characters. Graphically, the game is a step up from the first instalment. The first big graphical improvement, come change, is that much more of the game takes place outside and during the day. Adding little visual touches such as the rain effects in the war camp and motion blur effects found in the silent kill sequences were a nice touch, not to mention the levels are much bigger. Although this does show up the limitations of Sony's little grey box. The first game was set entirely at night, and conveniently that hid the PlayStation's limitations. Interesting then that the PlayStation's limitations were one of the forces behind the game's playstyle of sneaking and being careful. When Tenchu 2 was released, the PlayStation 1 was in its golden years, the Dreamcast had come out a year earlier and the PlayStation 2 was only a month away in European territories and already available in Japan. Whilst character models were given more detail in Tenchu 2 with fully animated mouths and facial expressions, and once again characters were well represented in their choice of traditional clothing as well as displaying the correct human form and movement, motion capture, unlike the first game, was entirely done by one man, returning from the first game, Tsutomu Kitagawa. It has been noted that environments look kind of rough around the edges, making the game look somewhat unfinished. Coupled with bad draw distances and occasional slowdown do drag the game down a tad. Another one of Tenchu 2's drawbacks are the camera controls, as they were more suited to sneaking, assassinating and fighting in close quarters. When it comes to fighting outside, the camera does often undercut you at critical times, especially during boss encounters, and Tenchu 2 has far more of them. Not only that, but the boss battles were a big step up from the first game. Be it the monstrous mission of killing every enemy on the level before heading off to face the end level boss, or fighting one boss after another. The difficulty curve of Tenchu 2 is probably a good sign of why the series was sold off to From Software of Dark Souls fame, and also why Sekiro Shadows Die Twice was not only originally planned to be a game in the Tenchu series, but what got fans thinking it would be a Tenchu game from its initial teaser. Talking of From Software, I actually discovered whilst researching this episode that back in 2014, From Software allowed Tenchu to be made into a stage show. Please do excuse this bad translation of the plot. The story takes place after Rikimaru became head of the East Ninja clan, with female ninja Ayame by his side. During a fight between assassins Rin and Rikimaru, a ninja who shoulders a painful past, Ayame goes missing. The country begins to shake when the Goda clan is faced with a dilemma. The Goda clan sends an emergency message. Where is Princess Kiku, and what is she thinking? What will she do as the princess of an entire country?
Do you need to shave, but the idea of buying shaving supplies from your local supermarket fills you with fear and dread?
Oh no, what will Mildred at the checkout think if she sees me buying a razor?
Get a Harry subscription.
Oh, brilliant. Now people will never know that I'm not actually a wizard that can make unsightly hair magically... Oh!
Back in the day, men couldn't always shave. Back in another day, men had to shave. Somewhere in between is a very nice thing. A choice.
Oi, piss off out of my bathroom!
Just a little. Harry's.
One of the game's most acclaimed features in Tenchu 2 was the level editor. It gave players the tools they needed to create their own levels. It also had 15 extra missions that people could not only play, but also use to help them understand the level editor and use it as a starting off point for their own missions. Whilst basic, this feature had been present in the second release of the first game in Japan, and it was so popular that it led to a third re-release of the first game with 100 of the best fan-made levels. The level editor was also popular in the West and apparently spawned a tournament in North America, although at the time of writing I still can't find any hard proof of that. Sadly, the mission editor did not become a staple of the series, and its last inclusion was on the PSP installment Tenchu Time of the Assassins. Finally, music. Once again, Noriyuki Asakura returns to compose the soundtrack for the game and has done another stellar job. Although there are some subtle differences, gone are the soft, subtle backdrop pieces that made each level in the first game so recognisable. Instead, each mission is presented on the backdrop of ambient sounds of crickets and arrows flying through the air. Asakura's soundtrack comes in only at certain points in the game. Asakura has gone for a far more traditional soundtrack that in a lot of ways is far more dramatic and in some cases a little bit loud. Because of this, I don't think the soundtrack has the same impact as the first games. That doesn't stop it being an absolute joy to listen to. In fact, I'm listening to it as I'm writing this. Fans wanted a new Tenchu, and that's exactly what they got. Not only more of the same brilliant gameplay, but more missions and more story and more features with the level editor. Whilst it certainly wasn't perfect, it was much harder and did unfortunately make the aging PS1 look its age in light of the Dreamcast and the PlayStation 2, with 11 missions for Rikimaru and Ayame along with 7 missions for Tatsumaru and 15 in the level editor, giving players 44 missions and the ability to make their own. Tenchu 2 was an unprecedented amount of value for a console game that you just don't get today. Well, not for 40 quid.
An average playthrough of the whole game will probably take you about 9 hours. However, if you're a completionist, you're probably looking at more like 20 hours. If you've never played the game and are given the opportunity, I highly recommend checking it out. Or you can watch myself and Tiger Tom play through Rikimaru's campaign here on this channel starting next week. I've recently been thinking about going on holiday, and I thought, well, if I'm planning on going abroad, I really should brush up on the languages. And as I was perusing my copy of the Cumberbund Inquirer that I buy for the word searches, I saw an advert for a language teacher on the high street, so I popped down to see what they were all about. Ah, bonjour François, s'il vous plaît, Hannas du Valia Jaliolika encore? Ah, so you're a French teacher. Yes, how can I help you, visage de cure? That is your actual French for heart face. Well, I'd like to brush up on my Greek. Well, don't let me stop you if it gives you any pleasure. The Greek language. I'm not really too hot on the Greek. I don't really know my alpha from my omega. All I really know is kebab and the Acropolis by moonlight. Sorry? Yes, I had an experience up the Acropolis. I'd rather not talk about it, but I could tell you a few things. But I'm not really a dab hand at the Greek. Well, what do you specialise in? Well, I concentrate on the modern foreign languages, you know, your French, your Italian, your Spanish, and of course I do all the Chinese dialects. You've got your Cantonese, your Cochinese, your Pekingese. Pekingese? How does that sound? Would you believe woof woof? Hope you've enjoyed my retrospective review of Tenchu 2 Birth of the Stealth Assassins. Please be sure to click the like button and leave me a comment down below if you did. If this is the first video of mine that you've seen and you enjoyed it, there's a fair chance you might enjoy some of my other videos, so please do check out the channel for other retrospective reviews and some very British humour. Please do share this video out with your friends, family and other Tenchu fans that you might know. Subscribe for more of this mush, and as always, if you've made it to this part of the video, then thank you so much for watching.